you could just
give my name again.
Yep, just state your name again for me.
Oh, my name is Edmund Owen.
Okay, and this is David Collins, and this is March 4th, 1995, and I'm going to talk to Eddie about the Colebrook Fire Department. Eddie, when did you start? What years were you on the Colebrook Fire Department?
I was on it from 1947 to I was on it for 42 years.
42 years? Okay, so until
1947.
So what, 1989 then?
Right around then.
1889? Okay. And what positions did you serve on while you were on the fire department, Eddie?
Well, I was a fireman, I was a fire warden, and an assistant fire chief.
Okay.
And I've also been moderator.
Also moderator that you've been now. Okay. When you first started on the fire department, what comprised the fire department? What did they have for trucks, and where was it located?
We had 3 trucks. One was a homemade ladder truck, which was on an old Dodge.
Okay.
Probably a 1940, I don't know whether it was 1942 or what, but the blacksmith shops made it up. I think Harry John Rowe had a lot to do with it.
Okay.
And we had a pumper they called Old Betsy that was back in the 30s.
Okay. Early 30s?
Yeah.
Early 30s, okay.
And we had 1942 Dodge.
Okay, and that was a pumper too?
That was a pumper.
That was a pumper too. Okay, just a little bit on the on that ladder truck. Was that the first ladder truck, or did they have a ladder truck before that, Eddie?
That I couldn't tell you. That was the ladder truck that I can
that you remember. So basically, it was like a truck.
They had a hand ladder truck that hauled. It was hauled by hand.
Did they still use that then? They used that before that.
They must have.
They must have. Okay.
And along with the old hand pumper, and they had a chemical tank that was drawn.
Okay.
And the old pumper there, I was told by the old timers that if the fire whistle blew, when they were using that, the first man that went by with a team, he used to get $1 to hook onto it and pull it with his team.
Was it set up? Was that made for horses, or was it more of just it worked that way?
Well, you could pull it by hand, or you could hitch onto it with a team.
Pull it by horse. Okay.
It's the old one that you can see. You see it in parades and
right. Yeah, the old
chemical tank and like that. They still have it. The old wooden ladder.
They still have it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, would you say like that pumper they had, the early 30s pumper, was that probably the first pumper Colebrook had for a mechanical one or mechanized one?
No, the first one that, according to Earl Wadsworth, told me was I can't tell you the name of it.
Okay.
It was a handmade rig. I don't know, but what Normie Parks might have made it.
Okay.
In his garage.
Okay. And that's what they had.
I forgot what the name of it. It was built on the chassis. I know it was an automobile chassis or what, but I've heard Wadsworth talk about it.
So it was a handmade.
It was a handmade rig.
But do you ever remember seeing that as a young boy? Or?
I don't remember.
No, you don't recall that
because I wasn't when I was young like that. I wasn't.
You didn't think
crazy about that.
Okay, for people who don't know, where was the fire station located then, Eddie?
The fire station was located on Parsons Street. Was the building right beside the Episcopal Church.
Yep.
They've had senior meals
on
there recently.
Okay. And how was that set up, the fire station inside?
We had 2 doors.
Okay.
And they used to put the Old Betsy in first, and it would be driven up between the 2 doors.
Okay.
And that left just room for the ladder truck to go in on the other side of it, and the pumper on the other side. And if they packed it right, you could run in to get into the pumper, the Dodge pumper.
Okay.
But if they packed it wrong, you had to crawl over the fenders to get into the trucks.
Now,
like that.
Now did that have a second floor on it too, like it does now?
It had a second floor and a third floor.
Okay.
But back of this of the where the fire trucks were, there was a cement room in there, and a 50-foot tower built on top of that.
Okay.
And the hose was hung. You could hang the whole length of 50-foot hose up.
Okay.
And you could probably I would say you probably could hang probably close to 3 dozen lengths of hose in there. Each one was pulled up with a rope that was hitched on the side of the tower. The second floor, there was a room there where the old guy, we'd have usually an old bachelor or somebody who had lost his wife would be staying there and look after the fire station, keep the wood fires going.
Year round, or
yeah,
yep.
lived there.
So basically, they had a room there.
They had a room there.
Okay. So how was the second floor set up in the old fire station?
Well, it was set up. We had stuff hung up around there,
okay.
Ropes and things like that. And this room, it was a fairly good sized room.
Yep.
And it had a cook stove in it, and I think there was a hot water tank there, so the guy could wash up and like that, and like that.
Was that where the gentleman, whoever was there, lived?
That's where he lived.
Do you remember any of the names of men who might have?
There was Colville. I can't tell you his first name, but we put a flag on his grave up there. He was there for so many years.
Okay.
Bert Colville.
Okay.
Colville was his name.
Okay.
And Pry Holden and George Capon. Pry Holden was the last one before we moved to
the new fire station.
New fire station.
So on the second floor, was that used as a meeting room too?
No, the third floor was a meeting.
Third floor was. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it just? Yeah. Could you just describe it?
Probably the biggest fire trap in town, and we used to have meetings and stuff up there. There was only one way up, and that was a flight of stairs. There was no back door to it or anything.
So is it just like it?
And there was a chimney for the fire station was on the right between the two doors where you went back the trucks in.
Okay.
Like that went up. And the box stove that kept the tower and kept the fire station from freezing up like that was in the bottom of the tower there.
Okay.
And the stovepipe ran the whole length of the fire station to the chimney.
What floor did it run on? Did it run on the second floor? Or did it run on
this was on the first floor.
On the first floor.
And of course, upstairs in the watchman's room there.
Yep.
I had a wood stove there, and it was placed so that you went right into the chimney. But up on the third floor, we had the same damn thing. We had the small box stove, and it went clear through to the front of the meeting room there.
Wow.
And when you weren't hanging hose and drying hose, there were some trap doors on the second floor that you could close down on in the hose tower.
Oh, okay.
But when you were drying hose, you opened the doors, and there was a walkway around where you pulled the hose up.
Okay. So the first floor was basically where the trucks were, and it was the tower.
There wasn't any room for anything else.
No. And then the second floor, there was where the gentleman lived and where the storage, you kept storage for hose or nozzles or whatever.
Yeah, I think they had the old chemical tank. I think that was packed up there. Okay. And we had a hose reel.
Yeah.
Oh, and in case we ever had a fire, we had a hand reel with the hose and a nozzle on it that we used to keep packed up in, it used to be Rennick. He owned the barn up in, where you go up to the grammar school.
Yeah, the building in back.
Building to the left.
Okay.
There's a big barn there.
Oh, okay.
And we kept that up there in case the fire station ever got a fire, or you could have some hose to
go to the hydrants.
Go to the hydrants to get it.
Go to the hydrants. Okay.
Yeah.
There was something else I was going to ask you. Okay. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Okay. So when you first got on the fire department, as you remember early on the fire department, like in the 40s, what did they have for equipment, on the trucks? Was there a lot of, I know today they have a lot of tools and stuff they used to open doors. Did you have much?
No, we had some axes with a big head on them.
Yeah.
Things like that, or you furnished your own boots.
Okay.
And we had rubber raincoats. When you get into a big fire and like that, sometimes you get water blisters where it could be so hot, that
rubber.
Nothing like the
Did you have helmets?
Huh?
Did you have helmets to wear on your head?
Not to begin with, no.
What did you have? Nothing? Just wore a hat if you had one?
Wore a hat, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and then we got some helmets afterwards.
But there was, at that time, there was no such thing as did you have this sort of self-contained breathing apparatus or anything?
No, there was nothing. But if you wanted to breathe, they had some old World War One of those canisters that they use for gas masks.
Yeah.
And
that's what you had.
That's what you had, but you couldn't use them to
really. So what did you hold your breath or breathe that?
Hold your breath. Hope and pray you didn't get lost on your way out.
Did they work a lot like today? I know they work more with attack crews. Did they work with attack crews, or basically whoever grabbed the hose and went in, or
was
for each your own, or
yeah, more or less. Actually, Whittle was the fire chief
when you got on the 40. Did you have men designated, or men basically take on the job like they do today, someone of being a pump operator, or basically whoever was there? Did one guy always?
Ones that learned to drive the trucks, guys that were interested in like that.
So you had to be you had to be shown how to drive the truck before they'd allow you to drive it, or was that one of their unwritten rules?
Yeah,
one of their unwritten rules.
Well, I mean, you buy these the 1942 Dodge.
Yep.
Now that was it for a fire truck back then.
Right.
But there were a lot of things in there that draining this and draining that in cold weather and like that. So the boys revamped it, some of the smart ones.
Okay.
So they put in extra drains and things like that.
Oh, okay. So they remodeled it. Now you said that was in 1942. Did you get that in 1942?
I was away in the service when I got that. I got that in 42. Yeah.
Okay, so it was 1942. Okay. Okay. So going a little farther, I know when it got to the 50s, of course, it was a pretty cramped station. Was it talked about for a long time to build a new fire station?
Yeah.
It was always talked about.
But you couldn't get diddly at a precinct meeting.
Really?
Like that.
You had a lot of people. Did you have a lot of people attend precinct meetings?
Oh,
back then.
Back then, it was at the town hall.
You had the precinct meetings at the town hall.
You had Judge Ripley, and you had Skinny Norris, and some of the others. No fireman was ever a fire warden.
Oh, okay.
That all happened when we were younger generation.
So they had a lot of squabbles about, basically money-wise?
There was no squabbling. You'd ask for the money, they'd jump right up and you wouldn't need it, like that.
So if they were fire wardens, did they attend your meetings too, your monthly meetings, to see what was going on? Or basically were they there at the end of the year to divvy out money and that's it?
They were at the final meeting. Yeah.
Okay, so you held it in the town hall. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did it come about to build a new fire station? How did you finally get them convinced? I guess is what the word.
Well, you got to the point where you showed people and things like that. And when we started in to build a fire station, we had visions of grandeur, and we had this guy come up from down below, architect there, and he drew up plans for a fire station there that probably the King of England would have enjoyed being in there.
Okay.
And but the price on it was over $100,000
at the time.
Oh, you try to do anything like that, why nothing doing so. We scuttled the whole thing, and Lawrence Moran agreed to build the building.
Okay.
And we finished the sheetrock and stuff like that.
Also, you basically.
And we finished the meeting room off upstairs.
Oh, you did finish
that? That was all done. By even to lay in the hardwood floor there, that was all done.
Oh, really? So for a few years after you first built it, it was kind of upstairs. There was no real.
We worked on it. We worked like divas. We had good crews there, that could show up and put the floor down and built the walls.
So were all the firemen in agreement to build the fire station?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, everybody was for it. So I think you built that, maybe 50, 55, 56, 57?
Somewhere along there, and I think it cost us $48,000.
$48,000.
I'm pretty sure that's what the figure was.
A good size building. What happened to the old fire station?
the old fire station, Robert Kelsey bought that. I guess he brought it from the town precinct.
Now, who was Robert Kelsey?
He was George Kelsey's younger brother.
Okay.
And he started a Western Auto Store, and he put that in there to start with.
Oh, okay.
And then he went up South Main Street and he built where Bouchard's chainsaw is there.
Okay.
And put in a big Western Auto Store there.
Okay. Tells me a little bit about the fire station. Why originally did you get on the fire department? Did you just, was it because of the fire, or was it?
Yeah, in 1946, the Hills department store, and in there the Gifford block had burned.
Okay. You know how that's...
In that particular time, I started out in the back alley.
Okay.
And at that particular time, I think practically all the firemen but one were out having a wingding out to Benny Lay's camp out to Big Diamond Pond.
Okay.
And Bertie Rainville was on the fire department then.
Okay.
So we had this fire, and so we guys pitched in, but Bertie got the trucks, and we got the hose and like that, and we worked on it until a fireman got back, and we worked with them like that. And I thought I'd like to go on, but one time Wadsworth asked me if I would like to go on. This was, I think it was in 46, but I don't think I went on. But I helped up with the fire there. This is 46 by Hills Department Store in Gibbard Block. And that was a bad fire.
Now, when was that? Was that during the summertime?
Yeah.
That was in the summertime?
Yeah.
Did anybody...
And I remember up in the stairway where they lived up, Liza Parsons, Marjorie's mother lived up overhead there.
Yep.
And they had a 50-gallon oil drum set up in the hall at the head of the stairs there.
Yep.
The kerosene they used in the stoves back then.
Yep.
And like that, Pop Cummins grabbed that full thing and lugged it downstairs and set it on the sidewalk. I remember that.
Wow. Did it take a long time to put the fire out, or was it
Yeah, it took quite a lot. Of course, there was a food store was in there then.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then there was I can't remember whether there was the First National store was in where Cobra Coffee Supply is now. Or what. But there was damage. There was damage right up to pretty close to the Legion restaurant.
Wow. And that pretty well gutted the Hills block there.
It gutted most of it in the hill part there.
Yeah. Okay.
And Giffords, they built that brick building.
They tore all that building right down to ground level and rebuilt it.
Yeah, because down where the old Sentinel building was down there beside of the vacant lot now, where Trudy and Harold George lived.
Yep.
Yeah, like that.
Okay.
And Hills had their fire sale in that building there.
Okay. Because the paper wasn't there then.
The paper wasn't there.
The paper was over
on Main Street there.
Right on Main Street. Okay. When you first got on, how were the fires toned out? They didn't really have a radio system, did they?
Oh, no.
How did they?
The operator. The fire whistle would blow. The first man in the fire station would call the operator to find out where it was.
Okay.
And at that time, back in the old days there, we used to cover, we went to Pittsburgh, we went to Beach Falls, Canaan, West Georgetown, even out as far as north.
Because they didn't have any fire department, or they didn't have an inadequate?
Well, they might have a big fire and like that, or they had little or no equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you weren't. So they basically they told the first man through the door, and that's basically how you got.
Yeah. You're supposed to write it down. A lot of times you forget to do it, and you yell at somebody, so and so, and us, and somebody else would run, and it would be.
Okay. So it was a board in the fire station.
You were coming along on the street there. You were a fireman, and you see the fire truck. You usually turn around and pop. Where the hell they're going?
So
and the operators at night they used to call. They'd ring the alarm, and then they would call every fireman on the company because we only had 20 of them.
Oh, okay. So was the whistle in with the town hall like it is today?
Always been the town
Always been the town hall,
Yeah.
and then the telephone operators they blow the whistle. So basically, if they start calling off from the top of the list from the chief down?
Yeah.
So you
Go
basically
right down the list.
so you basically had to hope you heard the whistle too, right? Because I mean, if
you heard the whistle, you ran
anyways.
Went to the fire station, like that. But to make sure that everybody knew that there was a call.
What I'm saying is you had to have a pretty keen ear because you couldn't miss the truck really if they were about the last man on, right? If you were the last man on the list,
hear a whistle,
then
he'd tell you where the fire was.
Sure. Would you say the response time was pretty fast, like it is today?
Public's always been noted for its response time.
Very fast.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, it's pretty interesting. Back then when first got on like the 40s and 50s. Fighting fires, you had a lot of snow and ice in the winter. There's a lot of snow. Was it hard? I mean, was it hard when you got in the country to get to these fires? Because I know that you had a lot of snow and it was cold. But because you didn't, how much water did you carry on the trucks to go to a fire?
I had 175 gallons on that Dodge,
and that was it. So basically, if you got a big fire and you ran out of water, what did you do?
Well, one time up the hollow there on John Banfield. A milk truck come along and we grabbed his milk right out of his truck and put that into it.
Wow.
So,
would you
save the building?
Hopefully you could find a water source when you got there. Is that basically what you based on?
But, the way the roads were, and they'd be drifted like that. And of course, they didn't plow as much as it could be hard. We had when we got the woods from, we had to drag that so we would be wallowing in snow up your waist, and then you had to chop a hole and you could find the water and stuff like that. It was tough.
So it was basically tough to fight a fire, and you didn't. Yeah. I mean, it was probably better in town, right? Because you had the hydrants.
And that, and if a building was fully involved and like that, and there's actually visual says, "Well, let her clean up, boys."
So you basically let it burn if it was full, because you couldn't really save it.
There wasn't nothing you could do.
Nothing you could do. But did you feel in town with the hydrants? Did you have because you did have hydrants then in the 40s? Because I believe now they had basically always hydrants when the fire department was started. Within a few years, they got a form of hydrant system in town. From what I understand,
they had a lousy water source up on the hill. It's a mucky.
Oh, okay. So in the winter, it really wasn't that great a source, huh?
No. And when now, like this was before my time, but they had a fire down here on the Vermont side of the river to the Abram Gray place.
Where would that be?
Well, the buildings are all gone down there now. You go down. I could show you, but
would it be back bridge?
No, back this side, quite a ways. You know where the Ted Holbrook house is?
Yeah.
Like that. It's back this way.
Oh, on that flat.
There's a kind of a flat.
Yep.
And there's kind of a place there where it's kind of clearing. There was a house there, and the barn was across the street.
Okay.
They got to the river somewhere there. Got into something. This was back before my time.
Yeah.
But the hoses were so frozen when they got through that they dragged them full length behind the old trucks. Took them down to the Hood Creamery. Right. Which was the one that across the railroad tracks.
Right. It was on Creamery Road. Yeah, right at the end of Creamery Road.
And put the hot water to them, cleaned them, and then they took them up hung them up in the fire station.
So they dragged them down the road, basically?
Well, and you couldn't bend them. They were solid ice.
It's basically just because of the cold weather, basically.
Yeah, it was probably 30, 40 below zero. Yeah.
Okay. Let me see here. Basically, do you have any more memorable fires when you're early on, when you were on the fire department, that just kind of stuck in your mind? That because maybe something different happened, or it was a building in town, or maybe up through to about 60 or...
Up here, you know where Jerry Cabby lived? There was
on South Main Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
there was the big building that was right next to that. It was called the Elm Tree Inn.
Right.
And Bernie, I think it was Bernie Higgins in the laundry in there, something like that. And that building got a fire. And Wadsworth and I were up on the roof, and we cut a hole in the roof. We've heard this story, but
I don't think so.
he says now we couldn't see anything. We didn't have a flashlight or anything, and he says you let yourself down in and see if the floor is shaky, because the stairway was all burned out. So I let myself down, and perhaps you could shake, and feel the plaster and stuff under your feet like that. I said, "Great, the floor is terrible." Somebody brought up a light. Marty looked down, and I was standing right in the middle of a bed. And he said, "You're goddamn fool. You're standing right in the middle of a bed there." But
I like that. That's pretty good. So after you did get that fire station in the mid '50s, that must have been a big. You only had 3 trucks, so that must have been a big improvement.
I guess it was. Then we started by getting equipment.
Then you started getting equipment
because we had no place to put it. We couldn't put a new truck in there one of those places over where we were.
Yeah, you probably thought you had enough room.
We had the old 2 is still. That was the first one. It's still there, the one that stays in town.
Yeah, engine 2.
Yeah. And then we had 3. That's the one we sold to the Paulsons when they bought the engine 1.
Because what was it now? One of the first trucks you must have got was that there. You had a forestry truck, right? Didn't you have a green?
Well, that was after World War II.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah, that was one that the state, they give you the truck if you paint it, and we made a tanker out of it.
Okay.
Henry Fournier built the tank.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, built it right over the fire station.
Oh, he did?
He used, to weld a thing together like that, he used coat hangers. So, like that.
Yep.
It worked out good.
Okay.
That went out to the Balsams. I don't know whatever happened to it after that. But we had to put a decal on it, a state forestry decal on it and all that.
But was it your truck? It was basically you and Olga, or could they take him back anytime they wanted to?
Well, I think that we could have given them some grief because we put all the money and everything into it.
Okay. So that would have been probably when you bought your first tanker then, because that's what you had it for. You built it. Did you take the whole body of the truck or the bed of the truck and put a tank in it?
It was a fire truck.
Yeah, but I mean, did you
set a tank in it just like the old Mac?
Oh, okay. So it was a lot bigger than like the old Dodge had for a tank.
Yeah,
bigger than Dodge.
That held 600 gallons.
Oh, 600 gallons. That's pretty good. Okay. And tell me how. I know in the mid '60s there you got the old Mac, which is now called the old Mac. They still have that. How did you get that?
It was given to us by Joe Carrera. He owned the farm. It used to be the Myron Holden farm up there, just beyond Beaverbrook Falls.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. And this truck came up for sale down in Connecticut. And he bought it. I think he bought it for $500, and they brought it up. Even another guy drove it up and gave it to us.
Okay. And that's what you did. You made that into a tank truck.
We made that into.
Did you get rid of the forestry truck get the old Mac?
When we got the. Well, we went big time. We got Kenneth Douglas milk truck.
Okay.
For a tank truck. The old truck.
Right. The International.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we let's see. We got that one go out to the Balsams. The state was willing to let it go.
Right.
See, with this truck, the green truck that we had all this jacketed state hose that they used to fight forest fires and stuff like that. Some line hose, most of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, your cotton jacket.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah. And we got that. And then we had that, and then we sold that, and we bought the old logging truck, 10-wheeler there, that's under the tank right now, from Gramasaw.
Okay.
And they used to haul logs with it. And we bought the tank over round there back in Vermont, somewhere over there that handle
milk
tanks.
Okay. So I know like in because you were capped on that engine 3 when their first engine 3 they bought. Basically you felt you needed more pumpers? Is that?
Oh yeah.
You basically felt it.
Well, if you had a big fire,
yeah,
you had to get another water source.
So.
Well, when the bank building burned, with Farmers and Traders.
Building. Oh yeah. Okay, and that was what, around 50 or so, maybe.
I think so, somewhere along there. I don't remember the date.
Do you remember if that was in the winter or the summer?
No, it was in the fall.
It was in the fall.
Okay.
And what'd you say about you gonna?
You set the pumpers up, pumped off the old cement bridge over there, like that.
Oh, you did.
And Beecher Falls, they had an old truck, and they brought that down. They put that right down the Mohawk, and then they pulled it out with a wrecker.
Pulled it out. Oh, I guess that.
Well, you couldn't. They got it down in there, and they had to get it out.
Huh. So that was because was that quite a fire? Was that when the bank building burned?
Yeah. Could have been the whole thing gone.
Main Street again. Was that like daytime or was that the nighttime?
Huh?
Do you remember that day or night?
It was night.
Nighttime?
Yeah.
Nighttime. And do they know what started it?
No. The gate hall was up over the Farmers and Traders Bank. Mm-hmm. And Leon Paquette, who was manager of the A&P store, which was in where Dora's store was.
Yep.
They lived in an apartment up there.
Oh, okay.
And by God, after that fire, like that, we found the cat who was alive and went through that.
Wow.
Poor bugger. That was another interesting thing. We were you went up in the stairway there by Cleveland George and got up, and we cut a hole through where you could see into over the Farmers and Traders part there, where the thing was.
Yep.
And we had a line up there, and Wadsworth was there with me. We'd take turns going up there and playing the hose in there through that hole in there to hit the fire.
Inside. For the bank, so the bank didn't get burnt?
Well, it was pretty well gone. And I didn't have a coat on. I was drenched. I had a suede jacket, and I backed down, and I hit a light switch there like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the power was still in the thing, and Waddy was on the console upstairs. And Christ, you ought to see him thrash around. That electricity was going right through me, following that hose right up there.
Did you get a shock out?
I guess I got a shock.
I mean that, but that's pretty good.
And Harry Alls.
Yep.
He was the oldest man on the fire department. He was on over 60 years. 60. I don't know. I think on his. They'll tell the date on the.
Yeah, I think it was like 1901 or something like that. Till he died in he died in like 73. Yeah. It must have been 70 years. About 70 years. But as he got older, in his older years, could he really do a lot? Or
well, when that bank fire they had like that, he was right up on the ridgepole, the Royal store there. Yeah. Of his store, with a hose up there, playing into the
alley.
Yeah.
Because there was an alley between the buildings.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. You also said, I remember you talked about once you had Nugent's, or was it Beaton Marsh Garage? Did you have a fire in there once?
No.
There wasn't a fire in there? I thought there was one you said about the ceilings coming down. Or something. I don't know. It was like a plastic or something in the ceiling. I don't know. Maybe I thought it was Nugent's. Maybe there was never a fire in Nugent's.
I never know.
Nothing to remember. Okay. When did you get? About when did you get? Like now they call them Scott Air Packs, the self-contained breathing apparatus. About when would you say you got those?
Well, when we got the first one, they had a fire in George Carrier's store. Billy Cummings got a shop in there now.
Oh, down
Rennie Barnett.
Yeah, down by the railroad tracks. Okay.
For George Carrier.
Yep.
And they had a fire in there. Wadsworth put on the Scott pack, got up and got disorientated upstairs. They had damn near passed out. Before he got out, the bell was ringing and the air was out.
Okay. But then
it's been over 20 years, I guess.
Maybe in the 60s?
If they look back in the records there, they probably find it.
So before that, like you said, you were talking before, you had those World War One. It was just like a gas mask. That's what they had.
It was
Did anybody
had
use
a
them?
charcoal canister. Sometimes you use them because Christ, depended on the fire and the things,
Now, do you remember? It seems like you told me once. Now you remembered when the town hall burned back in 1938. Remember when that burned?
I remember I was homesick in bed. I could look out my window and see that.
And watch fire. Yeah. But that pretty well destroyed the town hall, didn't it?
It did quite a lot. Bill Beecher, I forgot what they replaced that in there. Redid it.
Mm-hmm. Did they tear down the town hall when it was rebuilt? No.
I don't think so. No. If I remember correctly, they restructured it. I mean, I think the floor was still there.
Okay. Basically,
like that. Basically,
rebuilt the
same.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Was there, when you originally got on the department, was there a limit of smaller amount of men? Was the department ever really limited in the amount of men that could be on it, or where you had to live to be on it when you first got on?
Well, I mean, back then, you had to be in around town, and of course, people didn't work like down to Groveton and up the Beach Falls and places like that.
Oh, a lot of them. They worked mostly right in the town.
Most of them were right in the town. I think we had 20 to start with.
Okay.
And you'd have so many, and then the Old Betsy was considered, if you had an out-of-town fire, you'd get 4 or 5 men on Old Betsy and be in town in case you got another call.
Now, did they have anything like years ago that you had to start serving on an in-town crew to get used to it before you got there? So that's
hell yeah, she didn't start in going to a new fire truck.
No,
they started in with the old one.
Okay. And so you had how was the fire department when you originally got on? How was it set up for officers? What did you have for officers?
Did you have the chief, assistant chief, and you had your fire wardens.
Yeah.
Well, the fire wardens, most of them back at the beginning were even firemen.
Okay.
But I'm talking as a whole.
Yeah.
You had your captains and your lieutenants, but there was no special uniform or anything.
No special uniform, no. Did you have a dress uniform though? No,
not to begin with.
No. So that was kind of something that came over the years.
Yeah, you got a badge.
You got a badge. And put it on a shirt.
And then the first uniforms, I can't remember whether we bought them from Albert Shaw. He was a tailor on dances and stuff. Well, we had a big, I think it was Thanksgiving ball. And we raised some uniforms and like that. Put some money towards it.
Was that an annual event you had? I kind of forgot about that. The fireman's ball. Yeah. Where did you hold that?
Town hall.
The town hall. Held in the town hall.
And you'd have over 500 people in there. Which was
Are you serious, really?
Well, a little bit.
A little bit of sway.
Not as exaggerated.
No, but enough so you could feel it.
Yeah, but it was. They'd have a dim view today if there were that many people.
I'm sure. Now, I know you had fire conventions. You basically, I think there was they had a fire convention 41 or right at the beginning of World War II or something like that. And then you didn't have one for 25 years. Was it something somebody got the idea to have fire conventions up here again? Or?
During the war, of course,
they didn't have them.
I don't think so. I don't know. I wasn't around.
Oh, okay. But I was curious, because it was happened in 65, 70, and 75. You had New Hampshire State Firemen's Association convention.
Oh, yeah.
Was it somebody just came up with the idea? They thought Cobra could be a good place to have it, or
I don't know. They had one out to the Balsams, I remember, back years ago. That was a long time ago. I wasn't even on the department there.
Okay, but after you got on, they had some in the 60s. There, was it just basically something that would be a good idea? So we'll hold it up here.
I couldn't tell you. Probably Ron Hughes could tell you something on that because I never was known to go to the convention. So you had the crew, Benny Lay, and Henry Fonya, and Waldo Pisa, and some of them. They like to go to conventions and raise hell and do what. And I thought it was more important for somebody to stay home trying to look after them.
Sure. When you originally got on the department in the 40s, what was your pay? What were you getting paid? Do you remember? Because you were paid calls.
Oh, I think maybe $1.25 or something. I remember back Wadsworth said that they used to have before, and I don't think they were even getting $1 an hour that sometimes were had. That they had quite a waiting list of people that wanted to go on.
On the depression? Well, just because they could use
$1 was worth quite a lot back then.
Yeah, that's for sure. But you didn't really have that many calls a year, did you?
And I remember once back years ago, we used to, your grandfather, Waldo, was on. And like that, we had nine calls in one day for grass fires. He was hauling stuff somewhere like that and throw cigarettes out.
That works. Okay. Let's see. Another fire I was just curious about wasn't right in Colbert, but I remember was one. What kind of happened there was Milton Adair there had that store there, Aunt Libby's. Yeah. What kind of happened was that in like the fall of the year? Was it the early fall or something? Was that just kind of
it was. I think it was towards the fall. I remember it. But it was. We got down there and nobody thought to tear out the ceiling and look up overhead. We got the fire out and the pat down here like that. Christ, it was all ablaze up there. So that they cut a hole in the roof. Boy, that was it. It just had the chance to get out.
That was it.
That was the end of it.
But you did. Now, did you have enough? Did you have enough to get down to the brook for water supply?
We had to piece together from 2 trucks to get a line back up there, but by the time we got back up there, it was gone.
That was it. Okay. Also, too, I remember. I think you told me about this before about the Congo Church. You know what? What? Do you know how that fire started, or what basically happened that time, or?
I don't know. It was when they were putting the basement under it.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah. It was all dug out. Like that.
They burned it. They basically
came up. Right up through the old kitchen. Okay. Like in that, but they kept it there, and they hadn't. It could have gone right up through the whole thing. Would have gone. Well, what saved it was when they did the over the vestry down there. Like that, we had a tin ceiling on it, and they wanted to tear that out, and I told them, no, we're going to leave it there. So we strapped it right over it, and put the regular ceiling up. Oh. And that tin ceiling, there was plastic behind that. So you see, the fire came in to there, was swirling. But hell, it couldn't get through unless it burned through the tin like that. And the tin ceiling is still there after the fire.
Okay. Now, when you got on to in the early times, in the 40s, late 40s, I should say, did they have a problem about fighting fires out of town? Or I thought, where was that before you got on? Wasn't there a time when they wouldn't let the trucks go out of the precinct? Or
yeah, that was back for a long time.
That was before you got on.
They voted 1 year, but I don't remember.
Oh, so it was probably a short period of time.
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay.
But you see now, back years ago, when they used to plow the road, they'd only plow it like up Carlton Hill and like that there.
Right.
Gray Farm was up, about where Linda Packer's house was.
Yep.
Is now.
Yep.
And when that got a fire, they could only get up so far about where Carlton Hill and Fish Pond Road went.
Yeah.
There wasn't any road there because in the wintertime they didn't plow that down there. So that's as far as the firemen could get.
Oh, basically, so.
Yeah.
Oh, that's something where today you got roads plowed everywhere, so you can basically go just about where you want. Also, too, I know this happened before your time, but I'm just curious if you could tell me. I've heard it before about Wadsworth there. He was talking when he first got on. They had a big fire in Beecher Falls.
Yeah.
And could you just tell me about that?
In West Stewartstown.
Oh, it was in Stewartstown.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what did they do about
Well,
the stuff
they had the old
fire?
chemical tank.
Right.
And they had the ladder truck, the hand ladder truck.
Yep.
And that. And what they did, they went to the railroad station down there, and they used to have. Like Columbia Bridge, there was a little place there where the trains would stop or something like
siding,
that.
Yep.
And I don't know where they called the telegraph back and told them to run the train right straight through, that they had a bad fire up there to West Stewartstown. And I think it was what they called the Lovering Block. It went in, I can remember it as a kid.
Okay.
It went in, it was big buildings, and they went in around, where Solomon's store is now?
Yep.
Well, it went in around there.
Oh, around that block.
An immense complex there.
Okay.
And then behind that, there was a sawmill, as I remember it.
Oh. Okay.
But they had that train came right through and stopped in Colbert. They put all the equipment on the train, and the firemen jumped on, and they went right through up there. And Waddy said that the first thing when they got into town there, they bought up all the sodas that they had in all the stores around there to put through that tank there, soda acid tank there.
Yep, to get it, put the fire out. Well, did they save anything or not?
Not much. I mean, those big buildings, they probably saved some buildings that weren't involved, but
right. That's what they did a lot years ago, and they really didn't have much, right? You try to save. I mean, if you couldn't save a building close to it, to at least save that.
If you've got a building that's fully involved, you save the one that's beside it, that isn't involved.
Yeah,
that's usually.
Oh yeah, they did that. They did that more years ago than they do today.
Yeah.
But they do today. So just now, who were some of the chiefs, as you remember, on the department? Do you remember any before you got on the fire department? Like
Harold McLeod.
Harold McLeod. Okay, he was the chief.
And then Archie Wiswell. And Bob Luch.
Yeah, he was the chief.
But Ronnie, he was always a fire addict or something. He always hung around when he was a kid and things like that. In fact, I would say that probably half his divorces were because he was such a devoted fireman. I don't think he was tending to things at home the way he should have.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. I mean, it's I know even me. I spent too much time on the fire department. Neglected my family. Well, when you come to the point, everybody is going out to town or something and like that, and hell, somebody ought to stay around. I often thought that they should pay 2 or 3 men if there's some big thing going on, like Breakfast Affair or something like that.
Yep.
2 or 3 men to know how to run 2 or 3 different pieces of equipment, so that if something did happen, while they're out, but never came to pass.
How would you say, in general, how the department, when you first got on, originally changed to, besides kind of modernizing, would you say it really, would change much? I don't know, the men that got on, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Was there really a change from
what we tried to do is to get men that are more or less dedicated. I mean, they want to be firemen.
Right.
They're interested in going to the classes that you have.
Yep.
They're interested in it, and they're not just on, and if they feel like it, they'll go to the fire and like that. I mean,
do you feel so? That's something that you feel has changed since when you got on? Would you say, or
no? It's always been more or less that way. If a guy doesn't show interest and like that, they should boot him off, because today it's a science. I mean, you've got to learn. There's so many inflammable things today. It's so much different than it was.
You really didn't get concerned. It really wasn't a big concern, or you just kind of ignored it, or would you say more? You were less knowledgeable maybe about it, I guess, or when you first got on, where you didn't even
you were willing to learn, but you were interested in it, doing it. I mean, some people would stay on and you'd get on, and then hell, if it was in the middle of the night, they wouldn't bother to get up to go. Those people you don't want. You want people that are dedicated and they're going to tend to it.
But what I guess what I'm trying to say too is the people that are on, maybe are there different, not necessarily, I'm not really meaning class of people, but I mean, would you say when you got on it was more just like business people, or was it always just basically?
It was a mixture.
It wasn't a pretty good mixture. Always been pretty much a mixture.
Yeah, Leonard Bancorp. You take Leonard, you take Waddy was a banker. And the thing. Of course, Harold McLeod, I remember when he was fire chief. I wasn't on the department at that time, I don't think. Yes, I know what I was. No. Anyway, my uncle, no, I know I wasn't then. My uncle came out from California, and Harold had a barber shop, and it was over there, where the Sentinel office used to be.
Yeah, right.
There was a little building in between where the Corbu's garage is now, and
yeah, it was a Marshall and Mac.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Harold had a barber shop in there. Well, my uncle used to go over there to get his shave in the morning.
Oh.
And he was over there early one morning, and Harold, the first day he shaved in cold water. He always thought that was a big joke. He went in there again, and Harold got him all lathered up like that, and the fire whistle blew, and Harold right out the door, left him sitting right in the chair. Now that's dedication to being a fireman.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was back when the fire station was in the old station.
Yeah, fire station. Now that was the only fire station there ever was until they moved, right? As I know, or
as I remember.
Yeah, that was basically the only fire station. Yeah. But that's one thing now, of course, where the fire department's run, it's a precinct. It's run as a precinct, and the selectmen really don't have any say over it. It's the wardens that they've always had it that way. But now you said just to go quickly over that. Now you said on the precinct meeting stuff years ago they had there was a good turnout. Where today there's really not much turnout.
Well, you might get 50, 60 people
for precinct meeting.
Yeah. But old Leon Ripley there, if he wasn't in favor of anything, hell, if you voted yes for it, he'd say the nays had it.
Okay, but would you say people where today they're not as maybe in a way conservative to it? Were they pretty?
I will tell you a good example of that. I asked Brennan Dixon once, Donald's father.
Yep.
I said, we're having a precinct meeting. I says, how come you and the rest of you, some of you guys don't come to the precinct meetings? He says, I'll tell you. He says, you firemen, I don't know anything about fighting fires. He says, you firemen know what you need. And like that, and he says, and I think you should have what you need. But he said, don't you go overboard. He says, if you get what you need, but if you go overboard like that, he said, by Jesus, the next meeting you'll find that I'll have enough there that can take care of everything. So that was the way that I think, and we have a good feeling in town. Now, I don't know. I don't think that as far as our budget and things, we buy what we need, but I haven't seen anything that's elaborate and out of the way. There's been some talk about this new aerial ladder, but to me personally, I think it helps out, and I've got a slippery roof.
Yeah.
And you can put something up there like that the guy isn't going to fall and break his neck. That's good. But I don't know. I think that if a person stops and thinks what our budget is, and they figure what their life is worth, it's damn small potatoes, I'll tell you.
Absolutely, I agree.
If anybody doesn't, I can't see anybody going and oppose it, the firemen. And as you see, they don't.
No.
We don't. We have very little opposition.
That's right, yeah.
I remember back in when we built the fire station there was talk they wanted to put all the selectmen's offices and everything in the same building. Well, hell, you take that equipment, you pay good money for it, and like that, you get every Tom, Dick, and Harry running through there, and like that. So I fought against it. And one of my best friends was a select man at that time. He didn't think much of my idea, but he knew how I felt.
But when you did finally get down to get the money to buy the 5-stage stuff, was there a lot of controversy, or not really, or was it basically they kind of understood you needed it?
No, the only thing we had one year, we'd ordered I forgot whether it was a Mac or Engine 3, and you order them a year ahead.
Sure.
You have to,
right,
like that. And we had a bunch of women come and opposed buying the truck and like that. We told them they were too late. It was bought last year. That's the only time I've ever had anybody come in, heard of anybody coming in. That was moderator.
You've already been bought. That's good. Do you have anything else that maybe you'd like to even think of that?
I don't know.
Maybe you can cover. I kind of get most of my questions.
I think they're all the boys that they've got on there now. They seem like that they're dedicated and like that. And they've got a darn good fire chief, Ronnie, because he's been to every fire school, anything that's going, and he's been a fireman ever since he could walk, I guess, because he was always interested there. I think they're all doing a good job. But if you catch somebody coming on and don't pay attention to business, get them the hell off. Put somebody on that does.
That's true.
That's my philosophy.
Okay. Well,
if you're a fireman, come to your precinct meeting and support your fireman.
Okay. Well, I thank you very much for taking a little time out, and I covered most, and then I'll be back again if there's something.
Language isn't going to shock you.
No, I don't think so. Thank you.